Fan, an ailing manhwa artist at Moen Comics, passes away after saying a final farewell to his co-creators and the characters he designed through the years. Oddly enough, he feels his death is a peaceful one. Suddenly, he finds himself in another body in a strange room, and he quickly deduces that he has transmigrated to another world. The handmaiden runs off to find help while he stumbles to his feet to get dressed. Though the body is weak, Fan is at least comforted that it has a chance at survival. To his shock, he sees Sinyang, a character he designed, right in front of him in the flesh. Sinyang runs over to hug him, but Fan lifts her hand off, not out of rudeness, but out of sheer shock that his OC has come to life. Sinyang apologizes for her acting out of line and brings him into the courtyard, where everyone else is waiting. He is given another shock when he sees Ming, a vampire he also designed. Soon he meets the other characters, Shu-san, a dwarf, Fan Li, a mountain of a man, blind Bai, and Cheng, a zombie or Jiangshi. Fan can hardly believe his eyes. The characters he has made with his comrades are alive and well, right in front of him. His proud demon kings. Fan dines with his creations to celebrate his reawakening. However, he is concerned to learn that his all-powerful demon kings have become nothing but powerless individuals since they first transmigrated here. 6 months ago, when Fan's body first came to this world, it slipped into a coma. This explains why, despite their former reputations, they are now living in a simple inn in the countryside. Fan wonders where Mo Wan, one of his sole creations, is, and Sinyang tells him to wait. Mo Wan was designed solely by him, whereas the others, such as Sinyang or Bai, were all co-created with the others. Sinyang brings out a box, inside which lies a small stone. She explains that Bai has no physical body, and thus no need for food and drink. For the time being, he has contained himself within this blue stone. Later, Fan rests inside his room and tries to goad Mo Wan, but he refuses to come out. He overhears Ming and Fan Li speaking outside, the former having cut his hand on a broken shard of glass. Despite losing his instant healing, Ming insists that his vampire heritage grants him heightened regenerative powers, and his wounds will heal in 3 days. Fan Li buzzes off. Fan approaches Ming, hoping to talk. He asks him basic questions, such as where they are, but Ming suggests he ask Bai instead. Ming correctly senses that Fan is afraid of them. He reassures the young master that they will not abandon them. They had every chance to while he was in a coma. Fan is off-put by this sudden bout of kindness, which he thinks is unfitting for a ruthless vampire lord like Ming. Ming acknowledges that they do look down on Fan, but only he had the drive and motivation to continue drawing their story, and so they will not abandon him. At the very least, Fan now knows that his creations are aware that they are comic book characters. Fan is relieved. While Ming walks away, he notices that his hand has miraculously healed. Fan observes how his other characters are acting. Shu, who is notoriously rude and a troublemaker, is now telling stories for the amusement of others. Sinyang, who has always opened a brothel, no matter the time or age, appears not to have done so now. Fan wonders if this world is a normal one. He approaches Bai, who tells him that every person he has met in 6 months has been an ordinary human. Fan sees a stout nobleman riding a strange-looking horse and asks Bai if that looks ordinary to him. Bai kindly reminds Fan that he is blind. He later gathers his creations for a meeting to discuss their next move. Fan tells his creations that he always loved scary things, so he devoted his life to create them. But now, if they are going to stay in this world, they should at least make it interesting. He instructs Shu to get information from the county government and sends Fan Li to infiltrate a caravan to find a more appropriate place for them to stay. Bai volunteers to mingle with the city patrol captain's wife, as she wants to dine with him. As for the inn, Bai instructs Sinyang to receive the guests while telling Cheng and Ming to keep a close eye on her so that her chastity is not compromised. Fan watches all this curiously and surmises that they have all fallen into their usual roles these past 6 months. But now that he has awakened, they now feel their actions have purpose. That evening, Ming briefs Fan on a minor incident regarding an issue with the auction for Sinyang's companionship. Sinyang had already accepted the money to stay with one guest, but another noble, who has a reputation for being a troublemaker due to his immense wealth, has put more money up front and is complaining Sinyang is not with him. At Ming's urging, Fan moves to deal with it on his own, but Cheng warns him not to push himself. Fan initially thinks Cheng thinks he is a burden, but it is the opposite. The zombie is concerned for him. Outside Sinyang's room, Ming stabs his hand, and blood gushes forth. The vampire is coming out to play. Sinyang entertains the young master by putting on a seductive show. Outside, Cheng and Fan approach the master's bodyguard, telling him that they were ordered to deliver some of the town's finest wine. The bodyguard eyes them suspiciously, and tells them to continue in. Suddenly, Xinjiang ties her pantyhose around the young master's neck, and Ming rushes in to finish the job. Outside, Fan smashes the jar over the bodyguard's head, and when he tries to retaliate, Chang is there to back him up. Though Chang is stabbed in the chest, that's not how you kill a zombie. Their energy clashes together in a violent maelstrom, and they realize that they caught a big fish, a fish that might be too big to handle. An explosion of blue energy separates the two, and the bodyguard rushes in to check on his young master. His vision is clouded, but he can safely see Ming's figure, and he drives his sword straight into his chest. He demands to know what exactly they are, but a wry smile forms on Ming's face, eventually growing into maniacal laughter as he bares his fangs. Ming drains the man of his blood, and he falls limp to the floor. Suddenly, Ming's energy skyrockets, regaining his signature wings. "I'm back," he exclaims. Seeing Ming's power return gives hope to the others that they can also regain theirs. Xinjiang asks him when his powers returned, and Ming replies that it was yesterday, and he credits Fan's awakening. When she learns this, Xinjiang pulls Fan aside for some rest, while the others deal with the damage. Later, Chang watches Ming as he sleeps inside his coffin, though he doesn't really understand why. Ming replies that it is a form of ritual, and as a zombie, Chang should understand. Chang replies that he prefers his bed. Bai chimes in on what to do regarding the young master from earlier, but Ming surprisingly says that they should let Fan interrogate him. Bai thinks otherwise and that, in due time, he will be told to handle it. As he leaves, Chang pokes Ming and asks him what he did with Fan to get his powers back, and if they had to do anything gross. While discussing their useless master, Ming has a sudden realization. Only he explicitly said that they would not abandon him, so perhaps their powers returning has something to do with Fan's recognition of them. He deduces that when they came to this world, they all recognized Fan as their master, but that contract lay dormant due to his coma. The moment he awakened, Ming's conversation activated that contract. Thus, all they need to do is gain recognition from Fan. Chang says he will go find Fan right away, but Ming asks him to seal his coffin first. Meanwhile, Fan bathes inside a wooden barrel, wondering about the life he participated in taking today. Outside, Bai asks him to interrogate the young master, but Fan tells him to handle it instead. Shu tells him not to worry. Fan ends up falling asleep in the tub while musing on the morality of this world. When he wakes up, Chang appears from behind, giving him a scare. Chang starts acting friendly, catching Fan off guard, but the two have a heart-to-heart talk about not leaving each other behind. As Fan exits, Chang feels a mixture of shame and embarrassment, but suddenly, he experiences a surge of power. The next day, Fan has breakfast with Bai, who relays to him the information he received from his own investigations and those of Shu. They reside in Huchua City, which governs over a large area. It lies within Baifeng County of the Yan Kingdom. Baifeng, the Northern Territory, is notable for being the site of several battles against the Northern Desert Bandits, who are a diverse and scattered people. However, with the rival kingdoms of Qulan, Chu, and Jin glaring at Yan like prey, the Yan Kingdom had to solidify its central territories. In conclusion, Bei reports that Yan, along with the other kingdoms, dominate the world. In addition, this world also has monks, magic, qi, and martial artists. As expected, there's also cultivation. They operate on a 9-grade scale, with 9 being the lowest and 1 being the highest. The bodyguard they killed the other night, who managed to put up a fight against Chang and Ming, wasn't even on the scale. Bai suggests they can try to find their way home, but Fan wants to hear what Bai has planned. For starters, Bai wants to consolidate their forces, using Huchua City as their base of operations. The other details are not discussed, but Fan likes Bai's plans. Fan asks if there is anything he can do, and Bai replies that all he needs is trust from his master. Suddenly, Bai's powers reawaken. Later that afternoon, Fan finds Shu creating a topographic map of the surrounding area, which he explains was all Bai's idea. Fan hands him a hammer and touches his shoulders, telling him to keep up the good work. As Fan leaves, Shu's uncanny agility returns to him. Fan muses that the others have been acting strangely of late, but is glad that he can still get along with them. While walking into his room, he is distracted by Shu's laughter, causing him to trip into Xinjiang and her soft Xiaopao. Xinjiang is there to deliver some clothes she has been hand-sewing for Fan these past 6 months. Fan remarks that he didn't have parents since he was a child, so having clothes made for him is a fresh experience. Xinjiang smiles and says she can pretend to be his mother anytime he wants. She is very good at role-playing. To her irritation, Bai wanders, reporting that an incident has happened at the inn's front gate. A local warlord is demanding that they enlist in the army to carry supplies. He doesn't want to hear any excuses as to why they cannot enlist, but Xinjiang thinks fast and says that family has run away with the merchants, while Ming is sick with tuberculosis. The warlord grimaces and concedes, but he wants everyone else to enlist by tomorrow, and he leaves in a huff. This leaves Fan and his family in a precarious situation. Bai suggests that they can pack up and leave Kuchu City tonight, but Fan is reluctant to give up their solid base of operations, as well as the reputation they have built up. It would make little sense to rebel now. Thus, they decide to enlist, with Bai also convincing Shu to join in. Sinyi also insists on joining, but Bai asks her if she is willing to be a comfort woman. She is not. The next day, they enlist at the local barracks, and Fan can't believe he's going to war so soon after transmigrating. However, Chang is suspicious. They were told to enlist so that they can transport supplies, but he sees no trace of significant military power nearby. Furthermore, they were just told to march with the army. Shu arrives with concerning news. He had checked the ration wagon, but only found stones. A few days later, they have camped in a far more favorable spot, with flowing water and satisfactory amounts of food. Chang asks Fan if he thinks the location is also acceptable, and Fan agrees. Chang pays him lip service but points out that he left out an important detail. Their army has little more than 200 cavalry, most of whom are ordinary people who are ill-trained, ill-equipped, and mentally unprepared for battle. One decent charge by the enemy is all it would take to rout their forces. He deduces that their unit is simply being used as bait. Fan thinks it unwise to try and complain to their senior officers or divulge this information to the peasants, so he keeps it to himself for now, prioritizing his and his friends' safety. That evening, barbarians break into their camp, slaughtering the soldiers as they sleep, but one of them picks the wrong tent to attack, and Chang slaughters him on sight. Shu and Fan also join in on the action as they watch the chaos unfold all around them. Shu suggests that they leave now, but Fan wants to take with them as many barbarian heads as possible, as they can be exchanged for merit and goods. A few barbarians on horseback notice them, and as they ride in, Shu, Fan, and Chang kill them all while taking their necks as trophies. As Fan licks his fingers, he finds the taste of blood surprisingly sweet. This is the first time Fan has killed someone, and he finds himself more composed than he thought. Shu tosses him some water, as the first killing experience is always the roughest. Fan acknowledges that wolves cannot accept a sheep as their leader, and so he must become a wolf himself. As more barbarians ride in, so do the Yan army. Shu remarks that this tactic of baiting the enemy is a ruthless one. They sense danger, and Fan's head is nearly lopped off by a lobbed spear from the barbarian chieftain. Chang fearlessly charges in, but the chieftain parries his blow, causing Chang's sword to shatter. He mocks that Chang no longer has a weapon, and Chang replies that he doesn't know how to use a sword anyway. The chieftain tackles Chang with his full strength, but Chang pierces through his chest with his nails. Suddenly, an arrow finds its mark on Chang's arm, allowing the chieftain to kick him down. The archer is utterly shocked that his arrows, which can ordinarily pierce cleanly through an ordinary man, were only able to pierce Chang's arm. Without warning, Shu stabs the man from behind. Enraged, the chieftain attempts to finish off Chang, but Fan starts running from behind to attack. He tosses Chang away to parry Fan's blow, but he suddenly starts coughing up blood. He realizes he has been poisoned from Chang's earlier attack. Without the strength to fight back, his head is lopped off. Unexpectedly, Chang offers his hand to help Fan up. In a flashback to when Fan was still in a coma, Bai addresses the others, knowing that they all think little of Fan. However, he reminds them that Fan is still their creator, and that Fan has been locked away in a cage for nearly his whole life. Thus, if they simply bring Fan into an environment where he can grow and develop, he will surely become a master worthy of following. Back in the present, Chang tells Fan that the Yan army has stabilized the situation. Fan tells him to gather their spoils. Shu arrives with a juicy morsel, the division chief of the desert army. They consider bringing him in alive since he is worth more, but Fan says he has seen their powers in action, and it is best if they silence him permanently. When the Yan generals arrive, they see that Fan and his men have slain the division chief. Unfortunately for them, this general probably read up on Lu Bu because he's about to betray them to steal their merit. However, Mark Li Qian, accompanied by the seventh elder, cut him down. Chang and Shu discuss what business Qian could have with Fan. Shu remarks that a girl dressed as a man is a common trope in the protagonist's harem. However, Chang says Chan is not worthy of being Fan's woman. Chang confides that ever since Fan awakened, it is not only they who have regained power, but Fan himself has also gained some measure of strength. Fan enters Qian's tent, and she wants to reward him for his exploits during the battle. She allows him to choose to become a servant of her Li family, or to become an officer in Huchua City. However, seeing how handsome he is, she resigns the offer and forces him to become her servant instead. However, Fan insists on staying in Huchua. Qian is offended, but he's not stupid enough to become the servant of a girl he's never met. After all, none of his 7 demon kings are vegetarian. Elsewhere, Ming decimates a gang of thieves. He complains that they are eliminating simple hooligans, but Bai reassures him that Fan will return soon. Elsewhere, Sinine takes good care of a cartel, and she is similarly in hardtack due to Fan's absence. Meanwhile, Fan, Shu, and Chang begin their journey home, which will take a day at most. While they make camp, they wonder if Fanli has enough to eat. Suddenly, a group of desert soldiers wanders into their camp, and things are about to get really good or really bad.